Marcus Wellington sat in his penthouse overlooking Manhattan, staring at the five-star meal that had just been delivered. Wagyu beef, truffle risotto, wine that cost more than most people's monthly rent. It all tasted like ashes in his mouth. For 15 years, Marcus had been the most feared food critic in America. His reviews in the New York Culinary Review could make or break a restaurant overnight. Chefs trembled when he walked in. Managers gave him the best tables, comped his meals, hovered anxiously nearby. He'd eaten at every Michelin-starred restaurant in the world, twice, and he was tired of it all. Marcus pushed the plate away and walked to his window. Below, the city teemed with life, real life, not the carefully curated experience he received everywhere he went. When was the last time someone had treated him like a regular person? When was the last time he'd experienced genuine hospitality instead of fear-based groveling? His phone buzzed. Another invitation to an exclusive restaurant opening. Another night of fake smiles and desperate chefs. Marcus made a decision. The next morning, Marcus stood in front of his bathroom mirror and barely recognized himself. He'd stopped shaving a week ago. His hair, usually perfectly styled, hung limp and greasy. He'd bought clothes from a thrift store, worn jeans with holes, a stained jacket, boots with broken laces, dirt under his fingernails, the smell of days without showering. He looked homeless. He looked invisible. Marcus took the subway for the first time in years, his disguise complete with a worn backpack and a cardboard sign. People avoided his gaze. Some looked at him with pity, others with disgust. No one saw Marcus Wellington, the famous food critic. They saw what they expected to see, another invisible person society had forgotten. For 3 days, Marcus wandered the city, testing restaurants. He'd walk in and ask for water, for bathroom access, for the cheapest item on the menu with the few dollars he allowed himself to carry. The results were depressingly consistent. At Antonio's, a high-end Italian place he'd given 4 stars, the manager physically escorted him out before he could sit down. "We don't serve your kind here. There's a shelter on 5th Street. At the Garden Bistro, which prided itself on farm-to-table ethics, the hostess wrinkled her nose. "I'm sorry, but we have a dress code. You'll have to leave." At Chen's Palace, where he'd praised the owner's commitment to community, a waiter threatened to call the police when Marcus asked if they had any day-old food they could spare. Restaurant after restaurant, the pattern repeated. The same establishments that had fawned over him as Marcus Wellington treated him with contempt or indifference as a homeless man. His faith in the industry he'd devoted his life to crumbled with each rejection. On the 4th day, exhausted and genuinely hungry now, Marcus found himself in Queens, far from the trendy neighborhoods he usually reviewed. The street was working class, lined with small businesses, dollar stores, and family-owned restaurants. He spotted a small diner called Rosie's, nothing fancy. Red vinyl booths, cracked linoleum floors, a neon sign that flickered. Through the window, Marcus could see it was busy with the lunch crowd. He almost walked past. This wasn't the kind of place that needed his review, but his feet hurt and his stomach growled, and something about the warm light spilling from the windows made him pause. Marcus pushed open the door. The chatter inside dimmed slightly. A few customers glanced at him, then went back to their meals. Marcus stood by the door, unsure, very aware of his appearance. "Sit anywhere you like, honey," a waitress called out from behind the counter. She was young, maybe 25, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and kind eyes. Her name tag said Sophie. Marcus hesitated, then slid into a corner booth. The vinyl was patched with duct tape, but it was clean. Sophie appeared moments later with a glass of water and a menu. "Here you go. Take your time deciding." Her smile was genuine, reaching her eyes. No judgment, no disgust, just simple human kindness. Marcus looked at the menu. Everything was cheap, but even the least expensive item was more than the crumpled bills in his pocket. His carefully planned experiment was about to end in embarrassment. Marcus's voice came out rough. I only have $2. What can I get for that? Sophie glanced toward the kitchen, then back at Marcus. Coffee's $1.50. That leaves you 50 cents for… Tell you what, let me see what I can do. She disappeared into the kitchen. Marcus heard raised voices, though he couldn't make out the words. Sophie reappeared, carrying a plate with a burger, fries, and a refill of his water. Here you go, on the house. She set it down with a wink. Marcus stared at the plate. I can't accept this. I don't have… Everyone deserves a hot meal. Sophie squeezed his shoulder gently. Eat up, no strings attached. As Marcus ate, he watched Sophie work. She moved efficiently between tables, laughing with regulars, patient with a crying toddler, kind to everyone. This wasn't an act for a famous critic. This was who she was. The burger was good. Not Michelin star good, but honest food made with care. Marcus was savoring the last bite when a man emerged from the kitchen. He was stocky, with slicked back hair and a permanent scowl. His name tag said, Rick, Manager. Rick's eyes locked onto Marcus, then Sophie. His face reddened. Sophie! Back office, now! Sophie's smile faded. She glanced at Marcus apologetically, then followed Rick through the kitchen doors. Marcus could hear their voices rising. Rick's angry and sharp, Sophie's defensive. How many times have I told you? Rick's voice carried clearly. We're not a charity. That's coming out of your paycheck. Rick, he was hungry. It's just one burger. One burger today, 10 tomorrow? You think we can afford to feed every bum who walks in? Marcus's stomach tightened. He set down his fork. You're too soft, Sophie. That's always been your problem. Well, I'm done with it. You're fired. Get your things and get out. What? Rick, please. Out, now! Sophie emerged from the kitchen, her eyes red but her chin held high. She grabbed her purse from behind the counter and walked toward the door. As she passed Marcus's table, she paused. I'm glad you got a good meal, she said softly. Take care of yourself. Then she was gone, the door swinging shut behind her. Marcus sat frozen. The other customers had gone silent, watching. Rick emerged from the kitchen, looking satisfied with himself. Show's over, folks. Enjoy your meals. He turned to Marcus. You, out, and don't come back. Marcus stood slowly, his mind racing. He'd gotten exactly what he'd been looking for, proof of genuine kindness in a cynical industry. But Sophie had paid the price for her compassion. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He paced his penthouse, Sophie's face haunting him. She'd lost her job because of him, because she'd shown basic human decency to a stranger. He thought about all the restaurants that had rejected him, the managers who'd threatened him, the staff who'd looked through him like he didn't exist, and then Sophie, who'd risked her job to feed a hungry person. Marcus picked up his phone and made several calls. Then he wrote through the night, his fingers flying across his laptop keyboard. By dawn, he had a plan. The next morning, Marcus returned to Rosie's diner. But this time, he was clean-shaven, wearing one of his expensive suits, his hair perfectly styled. He pushed open the door at precisely 11 a.m. Rick was behind the counter. His eyes widened in recognition. Every restaurant manager in New York knew Marcus Wellington's face. Mr. Wellington! Oh my God, what an honor! Rick rushed forward, wiping his hands on his apron. Please sit down. Our best table. Can I get you coffee? Menu? Anything you want? Marcus looked around the diner. The same worn booths, the same cracked floor. But now Rick was tripping over himself, his voice obsequious and desperate. Actually, Rick, it is Rick, isn't it? I'd like to speak with you about yesterday. Rick's smile faltered. Yesterday? Yes, I was here. Different clothes, different appearance. I sat in that corner booth right there. The color drained from Rick's face. I don't understand. Let me help you understand. Marcus's voice was ice. I'm Marcus Wellington. I've been going undercover for the past week, visiting restaurants across the city to see how they treat people who can't pay premium prices. People who are down on their luck. People who look homeless. Rick's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Your waitress, Sophie, showed me kindness. She gave me a free meal when I admitted I only had $2, and you fired her for it. Mr. Wellington, I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you called me a bum? Explain how you kicked me out? Explain how you punished the one employee who exemplified genuine hospitality? Other customers were watching now, phones out, filming. Rick's face went from pale to crimson. I didn't know it was you. If I'd known... That's exactly the problem, Rick. You didn't know. And that's when your true character shows. Marcus pulled out his phone and started recording. Tell me, Rick, why does someone have to be a famous critic to deserve basic human dignity? Why does someone need money to be worthy of a meal? We're a business. We can't just give away food. One burger. Sophie gave away one burger to a hungry person, and you fired her for it. Marcus leaned closer. Do you know what I'm going to do now? Rick shook his head, terrified. I'm going to write a review of this establishment. It'll be published tomorrow, and it's going to detail exactly what happened here. How you treat people when you think no one important is watching. How you value profit over compassion. How you fired the best employee you had for doing the right thing. Please, Mr. Wellington, that'll ruin me. This is my family's business. You should have thought about that before you kicked a hungry man to the curb. Marcus straightened his jacket. But I'm not completely heartless. I'm going to make you an offer. Rick grabbed at the hope. Anything? What do you need? First, you're going to give Sophie her job back. With a raise, significant one, and a public apology. Done. Absolutely. Second, you're going to implement a policy. Every day, anyone who walks into this diner and says they're hungry gets a meal. No questions asked. You'll keep a tab, and at the end of each month, I'll personally reimburse you. You'll pay for it? I'll pay for it, but you have to do it with grace, with dignity, the way Sophie did. Marcus paused. And third, you're stepping down as manager. This place needs someone who actually understands hospitality. Rick's face crumbled. But this is my family's restaurant. My father is probably rolling in his grave watching how you've run it. You can stay on staff if you want, but the manager position, that goes to someone who's earned it. The door opened behind them. Sophie walked in, confusion on her face. Rick called and said I needed to come in. What's going on? Marcus turned to her and smiled. Sophie, I owe you an explanation and an apology. Over the next 20 minutes, Marcus told Sophie everything. Who he was. What he'd been doing. How her single act of kindness had affected him. Sophie listened, her eyes growing wider. So, because I gave you a burger, you're... what? Giving me my job back? Not just your job back. I'm giving you Rick's job. You're the new manager of Rosie's Diner, with a salary of $75,000 a year. Sophie sat down hard in the nearest booth. That's not possible. I'm 25. I've only been waitressing for 3 years. And in those 3 years, You've shown more genuine hospitality than managers with decades of experience. You saw a hungry person and fed them. No calculation, no expectation of reward, just pure human kindness. Marcus sat across from her. That's what the restaurant industry should be about. That's what I've been looking for. Tears rolled down Sophie's cheeks. I have student loans, my mom's medical bills. I've been working 2 jobs just to keep my head above water. This is life-changing, I know. Marcus pulled out a folder. I've also taken the liberty of setting up some things. There's a scholarship fund for restaurant workers who want to advance their careers. You'll be the first recipient. Culinary school, business management, whatever you want to study. Sophie was openly crying now. Why? Why would you do all this for me? Because you reminded me why I fell in love with food and restaurants in the first place. It's not about the fancy ingredients or the prestigious awards. It's about feeding people, nourishing them, making them feel welcome and cared for. Marcus smiled. You did that for a smelly homeless man with $2. Imagine what you'll do as a manager. Rick had been standing silently, processing his demotion. What about me? You can stay as a line cook if you want. Minimum wage. Maybe working in the kitchen, seeing the food from a different angle, will teach you something. Marcus's voice softened slightly. Everyone deserves a second chance, Rick. Even you, but you have to earn it. The story spread like wildfire. By evening, Marcus's video had millions of views. News outlets picked it up. Famous food critic goes undercover, exposes restaurant's cruelty. Sophie found herself at the center of a media storm. Marcus's written review published the next morning in the New York Culinary Review. It was titled, "The Best Meal I Ever Had." He described the burger in detail, but more importantly, he described Sophie's kindness. He talked about the dozens of restaurants that had rejected him. He challenged the entire industry to examine how they treated their most vulnerable customers. The response was overwhelming. Restaurants across the city began implementing Sophie policies, free meals for those in need. Some created discount programs. Others started training staff on compassionate service. The movement spread beyond New York to other cities. But there was also backlash. Some critics accused Marcus of being a fraud, of manipulating Sophie for a story. Others said he was being naive, that businesses couldn't survive giving away free food. A week later, Marcus held a press conference at Rosie's Diner. Sophie stood beside him, nervous but determined. I want to address the criticism, Marcus began. Some of you think this was a stunt, that I used Sophie to make myself look good. Let me be clear. I didn't plan for any of this. I went undercover to understand an industry I'd become disillusioned with. I found what I was looking for in the most unexpected place. He gestured to Sophie. This young woman, working for minimum wage plus tips, made a choice. She saw someone in need and helped them, knowing it might cost her. That's not naivete. That's courage. That's integrity. Those are qualities we should celebrate, not criticize. Sophie stepped forward to the microphone. I want to say something. I didn't give Marcus a free meal because I thought he might be someone important. I did it because my mom raised me to believe that we're all important, that everyone deserves dignity and respect, regardless of how much money they have. Her voice grew stronger. For 3 years, I've watched Rick and managers like him treat customers differently based on how they look, how they dress, how much they can spend. I've watched wealthy customers send back perfectly good food while families count pennies to afford a meal. It's wrong, and I'm not going to be part of that anymore. Sophie looked directly at the cameras. As the new manager of Rosie's Diner, I'm committing to something. We're going to treat every person who walks through our door the same way. With respect, with kindness, whether they're ordering our most expensive item or asking for water. That's the standard. The applause started small, then grew. Customers in the diner stood and clapped. Some were crying. Marcus watched Sophie, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Maybe the industry could change. Maybe this was the beginning of something bigger. Over the following months, Rosie's diner transformed. Sophie proved to be a natural manager. She cross-trained staff, improved efficiency, and somehow maintained the warm atmosphere that had attracted Marcus in the first place. She also instituted a program where people could pay for an extra meal that would go to someone in need. The suspended meals program caught on. Soon, hundreds of meals were prepaid each month by generous customers. Sophie kept a tally board on the wall, tracking meals given and received. It became a source of community pride. Rick, surprisingly, took his demotion seriously. Working in the kitchen, doing the hard physical labor, seemed to humble him. He rarely spoke, just cooked. Sophie occasionally saw glimpses of the person he might have been before cynicism and pressure had hardened him. 3 months after the incident, Marcus returned to Rosie's for a follow-up review. This time, he came as himself, no disguise. Sophie greeted him with a hug. "How's it going?" Marcus asked as they sat in the same corner booth where this had all started. "Better than I ever imagined. We're actually more profitable now than when Rick was managing. Turns out, kindness is good for business." Sophie laughed. "Who knew?" "I did." Marcus smiled. "That's what I've been trying to tell the industry for years, but it took you showing me to remember it myself." Sophie ordered them both the burger special. As they ate, she told Marcus about her plans. She'd enrolled in business school. She was learning about sustainable restaurant practices. She wanted to open more locations, all built on the same principles. "I want to create jobs for people like me, people who are struggling, people who need a second chance." Sophie's eyes shone with passion. "And I want to show that you can be profitable and compassionate, that those things aren't mutually exclusive." "You're going to change the industry," Marcus said. "You already have." As Marcus prepared to leave, a man approached their table. He was thin, with hollow eyes and worn clothes, a regular from the suspended meals program. "Miss Sophie, I wanted you to know I got the job. The warehouse position, I start Monday." Sophie jumped up and hugged him. "David, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you." "I couldn't have done it without you. The meals, the clothes you helped me get, the job application advice. You saved my life." After David left, Marcus saw tears in Sophie's eyes. That's the 5th person this month who's gotten back on their feet. 5th person who won't be hungry anymore. All because you gave a homeless man a burger. "No," Sophie shook her head. "All because you had the courage to show up as your true self, to test us, to challenge us. I just did what anyone should do." Marcus stood to leave, then paused. "I'm recommending Rosie's Diner for a special award from the Culinary Review. It's for establishments that exemplify hospitality in its truest form." "Marcus, you don't have to." "I'm not doing it as a favor. I'm doing it because you've earned it. Because this..." He gestured around the diner, at the diverse customers, the warmth, the community. This is what every restaurant should aspire to be. 6 months later, Rosie's Diner received the first ever Culinary Heart Award from the New York Culinary Review. Sophie accepted the award in a simple dress, her mom beside her, tears of joy streaming down both their faces. In her acceptance speech, Sophie said something that would be quoted in culinary schools for years to come. "My mother taught me that food is love made visible." not just in how it tastes, but in how it's shared. When we feed someone, we're saying, "You matter." We're saying, "I see you." We're saying, "You deserve care." That should be true whether we're serving a critic or a person experiencing homelessness. Because at the end of the day, we're all just humans who get hungry. Marcus watched from the audience, feeling a profound satisfaction. He'd spent 15 years reviewing restaurants, wielding power like a weapon, feared by an entire industry. But this, helping Sophie, changing how restaurants thought about service, remembering why food mattered, this was the most important thing he'd ever done. After the ceremony, Marcus and Sophie stood outside Rosie's diner. The neon sign flickered above them, the same as it had been that first day. But everything else had changed. "What's next for you?" Sophie asked. "I'm not sure. Maybe more undercover visits. Maybe a book about this experience. Maybe I'll finally open that restaurant I've been dreaming about for years." "What kind of restaurant?" Marcus smiled. "One where everyone is welcome, where the quality of service doesn't depend on the size of your wallet. Where kindness is the first ingredient in every dish." Sounds like you learned something from all this. I learned everything from you, Sophie. I'd forgotten that restaurants are about more than food. They're about community, connection, caring for each other. Marcus held out his hand. "Thank you for reminding me." Sophie shook his hand, then pulled him into a hug. "Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible." As Marcus walked away into the New York night, he felt lighter than he had in years. His career would continue. His reviews would still hold weight. But now he knew what he was really looking for. Not perfect technique or innovative flavors, but the simple, profound act of feeding someone with love. Behind him, Rosie's diner glowed warm in the darkness. Inside, Sophie was already back at work, greeting customers, making sure everyone felt welcome. A line had formed of people waiting for tables, critics and construction workers, lawyers and students, housed and unhoused, all standing together, all equal in their hunger and their humanity. And in the kitchen, Rick quietly prepared meals, learning slowly that redemption tastes like humble service and second chances. The best meal Marcus ever had wasn't about the food. It was about being fed by someone who cared, who saw his humanity when he disguised himself as invisible. That burger had changed everything, not because of how it tasted, but because of the love that had gone into giving it away. Sometimes, the truest test of character comes when no one important is watching. Sophie had passed that test, and in doing so, she'd taught an entire industry what real hospitality looks like.